Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all doing today? Yes. All right. Very good. Welcome all of our guests who are actually not students, who are just here for the event, and we appreciate it. We have a very special guest. She's been a friend of mine for many years, a mentor to me, and she has an amazing career that she would like to talk to you about it. And please remember, although things may look different now and now than it was 20 years ago, 15, whatever, a lot of the same things remain the same in this business. And there's a lot of things that you can learn from this. And some of the things that we teach, I hope you'll be hearing from her as well. So let's give a nice Mustang welcome to Dyana Williams.
Can I do an official Mustang? Blessings and good afternoon. Thank you, Almighty God, for allowing me the health. I was in the hospital the other day in one of those machines that you go in, you have to be still. And I was there saying to myself, what a blessing to be alive. Amen. Super grateful to be alive. Even with some health issues, it's all good. I want to thank David Ivory and Dr. Stephanie Allen for inviting me, but of course, I have to acknowledge the president of Monco. And can I be an honorary Mustang? Dr. Perez, may I? Thank you so much. Thank you for having me and your gracious staff. I have felt nothing but warmth since I hit the campus. And when I tell you that this is a most impressive campus, those of you who are enrolled as students and those of you who work here, what an incredible environment. And I will tell you, I travel not just domestically, I travel internationally. So I get to see all types of things, and it makes my life fuller and richer. But what I've seen today here at Monco is really amazing. You're a state-of-the-art institution. And for you students who are attending this school, this college, you are in a place where you're getting real world experience, knowledge, and exposure. So please don't take it for granted. Now, I might get in trouble for saying this, but don't repeat it. If you do, you know what I gotta do. I gotta come to your house, hunt you down. But I'm on the board at Temple University at the Klein College of Media and Communication. We do not have what you have here at Monco. So you should be we're a four-year institution and a lot of great people like my girlfriend Tamron Hall, myself. I'm a graduate, I'm a proud alum. I went back as an adult to Temple University and have been on the board there for the last 7 years. We are building our new building and facilities. So I told David Ivory I won't be too jealous for so much longer, but it exists right here where we are. And you all should be very proud of this institution. Let me tell you about a little girl who grew up in the Bronx, only child, with loving parents, my mother and my father. My mother's name is Nancy. My father, George. I feel like crying all of a sudden because it's such an emotional thing to talk about. My beloved parents. These are people who poured into me. And I know not everyone gets that, but I had such loving parents who made tremendous investments of not just money, because when you have kids are expensive. Those of you who have them know what I'm talking about, and those who want to, just start saving your coins now. But my parents poured not just money, but time, values, and they put in me the ability, because they helped me craft my life, that I could do and be just about anything I wanted to be. That's the level of confidence that my parents gave me. And not just my parents, because my mother, her mother helped raise me while my mother was going to school. My mother and my parents married as teenagers, 18, 19. Very young. My father was in the Navy. My father was actually in the Korean War. And we learned later, much later, that he got a Purple Heart bronze medal, never told anybody in the family. When I found out, taking him to the Veterans Hospital, I said to my mother, who had been divorced from my father many decades at that point, I said, Daddy has a Purple Heart and a bronze, and they told me this. Okay, the Veterans Hospital informed me of my father's status, and I asked his doctor, I said, well, why would he never, that's something to be proud of. That means, you know, glorious service and that you helped other people. And they said to me, the doctor said, well, a lot of veterans feel guilty if they survived the war and if they didn't lose a limb and, you know, all of those things. And so a lot of veterans don't talk about it. So my father, from Culpeper, Virginia, Papa George is what we called him, decorated war veteran who served in the Korean War. My mother, Nancy, 18 when she got married. She was 19 turning 20 when she had me. Her birthday is October, mine is November. So teenagers. What do they know about parenting? What do they know about the process of developing a human being? Well, they learn. They did the same thing I did and most of us who are parents, on-the-job training. But in that process, what they gave me, I give to you now. And I give it to my children. I give it to strangers. I give it to people that I meet. What they gave me was joie de vivre, the joy of living. A joy of living, even with the trauma, even with the drama that we all experience. Death, loss, betrayal, jealousy, you name it. The range of human negative emotions and activities. I've experienced them, as have you. But what has carried me is my faith. And what has carried me is my love for my fellow human being. Even when we're engaged in things that break my heart is so broken with what's going on in Haiti at this moment in the Western Hemisphere. Not far from us, y'all. It breaks my heart what is going on in Israel and Palestine. It breaks my heart what is going on in sub-Saharan Africa, in the Sudan, all over. And I don't have to go too far. We don't have to go too far. I live in North Philly. I see it in North Philadelphia. Poor education, deserts, food deserts, hard to even make a decent wage, a living wage. We are the richest nation in the world, not just monetarily, but in terms of our human capital. But at the same time, we're very poor. And that's what concerns me. And that's what we have to fix as human citizens, as citizens of this country. We have so many issues, but we have so many good things as well. But back to the little girl. Little girl was exposed to music on the radio. And we're talking 20th century, we're talking the 50s. I was born 1953. I am 70 years young. And in the 50s, what I heard in my home growing up as a little girl was the TV and radio. And my father, Papa George, was an avid music lover. So the radio was on in our house all the time. But what it did was created an appetite and an appreciation for music, American music. And I was listening, I was paying attention. So by the time I became a teenager, my parents divorced after about 11 years of marriage. And my mother and I moved back from Puerto Rico where she had been teaching. My mother got her education. My mother became Dr. Newman. She was a nurse and became a professor of nursing. In fact, I'm so proud of my mama because she was part of the team that developed the HIPAA laws that we all sign when we go to the hospital or to the doctor. My mother was part of the team that worked on developing the privacy laws to protect our personal medical information. She's a historic Puerto Rican woman, and I praise and lift her up all the time. But she continued her education to the point where she became a professor. So that little 18, 19-year-old young mother who was anxious to get out of her very domineering Puerto Rican father who wouldn't let her go out, go date, do anything, just kind of went marriage, child, But then she was curious about the world, and she kept learning. She was and still is, despite her Alzheimer's, a learner, a lifelong learner. My mama turned 90 in October. She's still with us. She may not know what date or day today is or where her phone is right now, but she still knows me. And she knows my children, and she knows my ex-husband. She knows us. And that is a blessing, because I have a lot of friends who have parents with dementia and Alzheimer's. They don't know them. But they instilled in me culture. So growing up in New York, when my mother and I moved back, and my father from Puerto Rico, we moved to Harlem. And what an incredibly beautiful community to grow up in as a teenager. I was exposed to everything, good and bad. I saw the number runners, the pimps, the hoes, saw all of that. But I also saw grandmothers sweeping their stoop. And I saw parents, mother and fathers, Black mothers and fathers, holding their children's hands, taking them to school. And I experienced the dance theater of Harlem, the Negro Ensemble Company that I was a member of when I was in high school for a brief period of time. And music that I loved so much. I was enrolled in a program called the Jazzmobile program, and I studied flute with Jimmy Heath, who was a legendary jazz musician from Philadelphia. He played the flute, the saxophone, and he was from a famous group called the Heath Brothers. In fact, Mtume was the father of James Mtume, probably one of the most sampled producer-songwriters in hip hop. Juicy Fruit, You, Me, and He, all of that was James Mtume, and heavily sampled it was an R&B song, but very heavily sampled by many artists. Puffy being the first one, P. Diddy, who's in a whole lot of trouble now, but James Mtume. So my love of music started as a child, exposed by my parents, and then by the time I got to college, I went to the City College in New York, in the heart of Harlem, 138th and Convent Avenue. And I wanted to be a musician. I thought I would be, first I wanted to be an archaeologist, because I love the study of ancient things. But then I realized, no, I love music. I want to be a musician. But guess what? You gotta have talent to be a musician. And I was talentless. I couldn't improvise. How are you gonna be a jazz musician and you cannot improvise? So, okay. But then somebody invited me to the radio station one day for a meeting. I wish I could remember who this person was, because they altered the trajectory of my life. When I saw that radio station, the turntables, y'all, old school. Remember, this is now the 70s. Turntables and the microphones and the records, and I knew a lot about music. I was like, ooh, you've heard that expression, love at first sight. Well, that's what it was for me. I fell in love with the radio station, the turntables and the microphone and the music. I enrolled in a class, and y'all got a fire radio station here, by the way, FYI. If you haven't been to it, check it out, right? Learned the rudiments of broadcasting, the basics. And then I got my own show. And then I became the music director, takeover artist. I was running the radio station. I wasn't the general manager, might as well have been, because I was running the radio station. But it helped me to realize that I had discovered my path. I had discovered my passion. I was in the place and space that would define the next 50 years of my life. I started in radio. I'm talking about when I got a check, a steady check in health benefits. That's kind of like when it counts, not when you're volunteering. And all of that is important. Volunteering is important. But I got my first job in Washington, D.C. at 96.3 WHUR on the eve of my 19th birthday. I was 18 the day they interviewed me. And by the way, I had dropped out of college because I said to my mother, Mama, I want to be on the radio. My mother couldn't understand it because she was coming from academia. What kind of job is that? Being on the radio. And furthermore, in the 70s, when I was pursuing a career in broadcasting, there were so few women on camera, on the mic, in positions of authority in media. So my mother was like, how are you gonna sustain yourself? I said, Mama, don't you worry about me. I'm gonna be just fine. So I borrowed Greyhound from my mother to go for that interview, and of course, I got it. So it gave me great pride to put my little coins, remember coins, those of you who are good and grown like me, where you had to put the coins in the phone. Anybody? Raise your hand. Oh, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, a few of you, okay, yes. Did your son put your hand down? Oh, Lord, hilarious. But I got the job, and I went in there with confidence. I went in there claiming and owning that was my job. I didn't have a lot of experience. I had done some volunteer work at the Pacifica station in New York. A gentleman named Rob Crocker gave me an opportunity to sit in for him when he was out. So that was my first break in terms of radio all over New York City where people could hear me, right? Didn't get a check, but I got experience. I got knowledge. And as you well know, knowledge is power. It is the most powerful thing you can have. Knowledge, which is what y'all are getting here at Monco. So got the job, $6,000 a year, and health benefits. That was major for me. I was 19, a college dropout, but I was on the radio every night. Ebony Moonbeams, that was my radio handle. It's still my handle, internally with family and friends, Ebony Moonbeams. And the show was a hit. I was on the radio every night from 8 to 11 in Washington, D.C., Chocolate City at the time. And we had to program our show. It's not like radio, modern radio now. Everything is in the computer. And more often than not, your show is completely programmed by the music and program director. But back in the 70s, 1973, it was my responsibility to program the duration of my show. So I learned a lot. And I learned that I'm a really good programmer, and I knew how to put music together to create a vibe and energy and a feeling and mental theater, if you will. So you figure nighttime, folks at work, they come home, they want to chill, dinner, family, relax. Well, I was part of the process of their relaxation and their information. I'm the type of broadcaster that believes when you are sitting behind a microphone or in front of a camera, or even in a studio, you have an obligation and responsibility to uplift, to inspire, and to inform. And that's the kind of broadcaster that I am. So I wasn't just playing music. I would say, there's gonna be a march down on the mall, or, so-and-so is gonna be speaking. So information. And I was good at it. I was great at it. To the point they moved me to middays, and I started doing midday radio. And then I was offered a position in St. Louis by one of the top broadcasters of the day, his name, Frankie Crocker. I call him the Dean of Black Radio. And he was the programmer at a radio station in New York called WBLS 107.5. It was the #1 radio station in New York, aside from the all news station. #1. And he was consulting various radio stations around the country. Offered me the job in St. Louis. I was 20 when he offered me the job, about to turn 21. I took my mama with me. And when we got to St. Louis, my mother said, ooh, girl, too slow, too country. My mother was like, we are not moving to St. Louis from New York and DC. That's not happening. So turned down the job. Here I'm turning down jobs now. What? A year or so earlier, I was begging to get into a radio station. And then he offered me a job in Chicago and offered me a lot of money. Well, how about the owner called me and said, Mr. Crocker has offered you more money than we can afford to pay you. We're so sorry. I was like, okay, well, it was real cold in Chicago in the winter. I don't want to go there. I love the city in the summer and the spring. Turned down Chicago, but then Frankie Crocker called me and he said, come home. And that was on my list of goals. When I was 18, I did a list of professional and personal goals. And I would encourage you to do likewise if you do not have a sense of direction and purpose for yourself as a young person. You're here getting this glorious education. What you gonna do with it? Boo, what you gonna do with it? So having a set of goals gives you a sense of direction, how to go. If we were gonna drive to Chicago, we would need some directions because we could go in the opposite direction and go to Hartford, Connecticut. That's not where we're trying to go. So in life, when you have some defined notion of what you want to extract from the experience, it is so helpful. So 18, I did my 5-year plan, because I kept hearing 5-year plan, and I put, get a job in radio, get a job in television, meet a fine man, fall in love. I was conscious of that at 18. I wanted family. I'm an only child. I wanted children. I wanted laughter. I wanted the energy of what I would see some of my friends have that I didn't have in my house growing up. I had a lot of love. And because my mother's Puerto Rican, my father was Black, I had a lot of cousins on the Puerto Rican side. So I did grow up with family, but I wanted more for myself. I didn't want just one child. And within those 5 years, I achieved the professional goals and the personal goals. I met a man named Kenny Gamble. He's one of the architects of the sound of Philadelphia. He's a songwriter, producer. He's a philanthropist and a music, a community activist. And I met him when I was 19. I was emceeing a concert. So the other thing, being on the radio, I got to MC, be the mistress of ceremonies for all the big concerts that came into DC. And I met him while I was emceeing an Old Jays concert. Again, lightning bolt, love at first sight. Well, I will tell you that after 10 years, 3 babies, we divorced, but he is still to this day one of my dearest friends. Love transforms sometimes, in some cases. Mine did, to having him as a lifelong friend. And the patriarch of my family, great respect for this man. And a collaborator on some things, and I'll tell you about that shortly. So, young woman in my 20s, I got a job offer in television with the local, was it CBS? ABC affiliate, doing entertainment reporting, cultural arts for the DMV, District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. And there I was. At that point, I think I was 24. And I was on TV multiple times a week on a TV show called PM Magazine. So here you go, fulfillment. Also, I might add that I had my second child, 24, going into 25, 2 sons. I had 2 boys at that point. And especially for the women, I know we're in March, Women's History Month, but every day is Women's Day, okay, as far as I'm concerned, and Men's Day too. No offense to my male friends, my bro stars. The balance, the act that we have to play being professionals, being women, and caretaking family, a husband, a wife, children, it's formidable. It is not easy. Is anybody else challenged being a parent, male and female? Anybody? No, just me? No, oh, okay, okay. Our president, imagine the job she has, very formidable. So having a family on top of that, it ain't easy. It is difficult. Nobody else is challenged here? Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, give me your secrets. So it is challenging, and I will tell you that my husband did not want me to work. He used to say, we're good, you don't need to work. In other words, I didn't have to go out and provide income for our family because he had that covered. But guess what? Work gives meaning and value to life. And I fought him. The whole way because I was like, no, when you met me, I had a career. When you met me, I was working. I love what I do. And I didn't want to stop it because I loved him and I loved our children. I mean, I was the kind of mother, I breastfed, I made baby food from scratch. I never bought Gerber's. I didn't trust, I still don't trust the food supply. Actually, I think it's gotten worse now, everything they put in our foods. But I was determined to be fulfilled. I was determined to be soul satisfied. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Some people say you can't have it all. Well, okay, can't have it all, but I'll take as much as I can get. I'm here to squeeze this lemon. And after I squeezed the lemon yesterday, I drink lemon or lime in the morning. I squeeze the lemon, then I take out my knife, I cut it up, I put it on the stove with some rosemary and thyme and vanilla. I am using this lemon to the max. And it's the same thing I'm doing with life and living. So I've told you a lot about my early years, and what guided me were those principles of achieving goals. And last week, I found a box with my journals. I used to journal. And I started reading these journals from when I was 18, 19, 20, young part of my life. And I read it with pleasure and discovery, almost like I had never seen it before, because I hadn't seen these documents and what I had written as a teenager so long ago. But as a good and grown woman standing before you now, I will tell you that this is a fulfilled life. If I were to drop dead on the spot right now, I would die with a smile and the satisfaction of knowing that, did I feel doubtful sometimes? Did I feel insecure and unsure sometimes? Did I walk in a room and not necessarily know how to totally speak up for myself? To ask for more money? Yes, but I have gotten over all of that. It took me a long time to develop the full-blown confidence that I'm in possession of at this moment. And with prayer and the support of family and friends, I have a dynamic inner circle of people who lift. They believe in lifting rather than pushing down. So this is the part where I tell you, think about the people who are around you. Are these the people who are elevating you, or are they criticizing you negatively and putting you down and jealous of your rise? Well, then those are the people you need to step away from. Wish them well, but get away from them. And surround yourself with people who are going to say, yes, you can. Yeah, it's scary, but it's okay. Go out on faith and make it happen. You can do it. Now, I realize that everybody has different capacities. Everybody has different abilities. I wasn't good at math. My final year at Temple University, I saved science and math. Oh, I went back. Remember I said I was a college dropout with the college professor mother? Well, I promised her that I would go back at one point in my life and finish my studies. That was important to my mother. And knowledge and learning is important to me. I did go back after the birth of my third child, a little girl. She's not a little girl now, but she was a little girl then. And I was breastfeeding, rushing down to Temple University for 8:30 a.m. classes. What? I remember one day driving down 76, crying, tears streaming down my face, because I was so overwhelmed and stressed. But let me tell you about stress. My last year at Temple University, because I started slow. I took a class one semester. Next semester, I started taking 2 classes until I worked up to 12 credits, right? Which is a full-time schedule, right? Still a full-time schedule, right? My last year at Temple, I saved my most challenging, difficult subjects, which were math and science. Now, mind you, I graduated from high school in 1971, the year Marvin Gaye released my favorite album, What's Going On. Here we were, 1996. Math? College math? Algebra? What? I had 3 tutors, 2 on campus and 1 that came to my house. I had to pass that class in order to graduate. And the first day of my math class, I went to my professor and I said, can I do an extra credit? like on the history of math or something like that. She said, no, this is math. No history of, because I was a good researcher writer. I was like, just to ensure and give myself a little cushion. But God is good. And thank you to those 3 tutors. But this last year, 1996, I was awarded 2 academic scholarships, one called the Jessica Savage. She was a news anchor in Philadelphia, and I became the recipient of that scholarship, and a couple of Pell Grants as well. That whole academic year was covered, and my advisor, who was the chair of the radio, television, film department at that time, her name is Dr. Betsy LeBron Tuttleman. She said, Deanna, how many credits do you need to finish? And I said, I think I need 40 something. She said, well, these scholarships and these Pell Grants have to be used in this academic year. They won't carry over. So you've got to use them. So why don't you just do course overloads? I didn't even understand what that was. But guess what, party people? 21 in the fall, including the science, 23 in the spring with the math. Math was last. So when people tell me it's hard, I was like, I'm gonna tell you what's hard. 3 kids, and I was working full time. Had to make money. So this is why I say we all face challenges and tough times, but if you have a belief and a conviction in yourself, in your dream, in what you want to do, clearly you're here because you are pursuing something more. And I'm telling you that you are getting something here that not everybody gets. I certainly didn't get it at Temple University. Still can't get it at Temple University. Not like this. But I was fueled by people who believed in me, by Dr. LeBron Tuttleman, by my parents. My father was still living at that time. These are all people who said, girl, you got this. You can do this. I got more of that than, are you crazy? I got that too. Because when people learned that I was doing 21 and then 23, 3 kids working full time and traveling, I don't know how, but I did it. I used to produce a big music conference in Philadelphia under the auspices of a nonprofit organization I established called the International Association of African American Music. And everybody came in town, all the big celebrities. It was a big thing. And thank God I had a wonderful assistant because she helped me. I wouldn't have been able to get through school and life without her. Her name is Vida Howard. It's important to speak people's names who are there for you, that help you in your journey. That's why I'm saying, look around your circle, look around the people, including family. And if you've got people who are negative about your journey, your climb, your soul satisfaction, your passions, your vision for yourself, what you need and want in this experience we call life, they gotta go. Show them the door. Say bye-bye. I have no use for you with what I need and want to do. Let them go. And it's hard when it's family. I don't want y'all to think I haven't had family members that were like bringing me down, challenging me, because I did. But I was like, see you later. See you at my graduation. And that's what happened. I graduated cum laude, class of 1997, Temple University. David Ivory, I want to bring you into the 21st century. I had the good pleasure of being the president of the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy, otherwise known to billions as the Grammy organization. And I met a man who was energetic, passionate, caring about the culture, about people being better versions of themselves. And that man, David Ivory. He and I were on the board together of the chapter before I became president, and he was a past president. We have maintained our relationship, and that's part of why I'm here today, because of David Ivory. He invited me. And David, when I tell you, beyond his commitment to your school, is a very respected member of the music community in Philadelphia. So if he is your teacher, your counselor, and even if he isn't, you don't know him, make it your business to meet him. Because he's about it. He about it. And he inspired me. We have collaborated on many things together during our tenure on the Recording Academy board. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of my dearest, closest people on this planet who lifts me, who when he gives me a critique, it is based in love, in love. Should we not all have people like that in our world, in our experience? I want to acknowledge the president of the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy. He is a songwriter, producer, artist, known as Rated Art. Marcus, John Bryant, sitting in the back, trying to be on the low. He is the president of the Grammy chapter. He's coming back here Tuesday with David Ivory for another event. And thank you, Marcus, for your leadership in our music community. You all should meet him if you are interested in a career in music, because this man represents our chapter, and we go as far as Pittsburgh. And we are about, and it is a volunteer position. There is no pay other than the satisfaction of helping other people. And David knows that all too well, because as a volunteer, we put a lot of hours into the Recording Academy. But the give back, the pleasure, the satisfaction, when I mention soul satisfaction, is tremendous. I love advocacy. I love being able to speak for other people who may not have the voice, because obviously I like to talk. So anyway, and for those of you who are students now, this is the opportunity for you to become a member of what we call Grammy U. I don't know, Marcus, how much is Grammy U now?
Is it how much?
Yes, do you know how much it is?
In terms of what?
To pay to become a member of Grammy U, how does that work? What is it?
I don't think it's 150 yet.
No, it's not what we pay. It's not what professionals. It's $50.
Right.
And that's the only time you pay is $50, and then it's for the entire time you're in school.
$50, y'all. Come on now, go to the movies, grab something to eat, you're spending $50. And why am I telling you about this? Because if you now are a student, this is the time that you start your job search. You don't wait till graduation. You start now. You're a freshman, you're a sophomore, no, you start right now networking, and for $50, a very small investment to make in your present and your future, you will have an opportunity to come to special activities that are designed just for Grammy U. But how about net weaving? I like to call it net weaving, networking. Net weaving with music professionals, people who are doing what you want to do in the future. This is the time. Don't wait. I have so many college students come to me after they've graduated and they're looking for a job. No, your job search starts the minute you get into the school. You start doing outreach to people. You start communicating, saying, what do I need to do? What classes should I take? Give me some sense of direction if I want to go into the music industry as a professional. What y'all have here with, and I'm speaking specifically about David Ivory's program, is state of the art. It is job ready. You get involved in this part of the programming here in the classes and the education here at Monco, you're giving yourself a great head start. And I'm telling you, like I said when I first got on this stage, I travel a lot, I go to everywhere. Been to Harvard, been to Howard, been to all the best schools in the country. This is a significant place. Take advantage of it now. Start making your investment in your future now. Don't wait till graduation day. Start now. So Grammy U, if you want some more information, Marcus will be happy to give it to you. If not today, Tuesday when he returns. So here I am, 51 years. I am still working. I'm a guest commentator on WURD. It's a Black-owned station, all talk. The only all-talk station in Black-owned in the state of Pennsylvania, WURD. I am on a music documentary show called Unsung on the TV One network. I've been on that program as a guest commentator since 2008. And my core business, where I make my money, is I do celebrity coaching. I work with high-profile people. I've been coaching now for 30 years. 30 years, wow, time goes by so fast. And I've coached everyone from Rihanna to members of the Dave Matthews Band, Zach Brown, country artist, Brittany Spencer. I work with artists in all genres. Additionally, I work with executives and I work with some athletes. I've coached everyone from Carmelo Anthony, just tons and tons and tons of people. And I love what I do. And what do? I help people with their public-facing messaging. I help people in crisis. T.I. was my client, the hip-hop rapper, for 8 years, the entire time that he was signed to Atlantic Records. Every time he got arrested, every time he went to jail, every time he released a book, a movie, a new record, I'd go to Atlanta, sit in his house, we'd flesh it out, T.I. So I've worked with 3 American Idols, a couple of housewives that are on the Bravo channel. So it's been very fulfilling because again, what I love most is I love to see people be their best. I love to see people dream and actualize because I am a living example of that. I am the dreamer who is dreaming awake and living. Everything I wanted to do, I've done pretty much. I have more in store. I've just been approached about a book, a TV series based on my life as a coach. All this stuff has just come. There's nothing that I pursued. I don't have an agent. I have God. I have me. I have my family. I have the friends that encourage and lift me. But when I tell you things are still coming my way, how about in my mid-60s, I got an offer to be on a TV show called Chasing News. And I was the entertainment correspondent. And when I got the call, I was like, now look at this. Look at this. A lot of people think of grown, good and grown people my age as retired. I'm never retiring. Retired to what? For what? I'm living life. And if opportunities come my way, let's go. I'm ready for them. I'm here to squeeze that lemon. And that's what's happening. And I just got offered an opportunity to be a pitch person on WHYY, our local PBS station. So in the coming months, if you tune in, you'll see me saying, your support makes a difference in the programming at our public broadcasting station. Please donate $10 a month, whatever you can. That's gonna be my next job on TV, good and grown woman, 70. Yes, honey, 70. Go on, I'll take the clap. I clap for myself as well. And for all the good and grown people, you're not dead. You're still living. You're still viable. And so to my young friends, I'm telling you, life is for living. And if here's the other thing. I don't want you to think that it's all rosy and peachy, because it isn't all the time. But I tell you, even when I'm down, even when I'm complaining, bitching, moaning, I'm still doing it in the lens of joy. I'm still doing it saying, I'm gonna get through this. It's a drag. It's a drag that my mother has Alzheimer's. It's a drag. But let me tell you, one of the biggest joys in my life right now is caring for my mother. Like she cared for me when I couldn't clean myself, when I couldn't feed myself, when I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk. My mother took care of me. And now it's my turn to take care of her. I was bathing my mother the other day. And when I tell you it's the most joyful thing I'm doing now, I said to one of my friends the other day, I don't know what took me so, well, I know my mother's a very independent person prior to her losing a lot of her mental capacity. So I know why I didn't do it before. And I've just started in this past month. It is the most joyful thing I'm doing, people, is bathing, washing my mother's back and hearing her say, oh, that feels so good. Life is for living. And it's your responsibility to live it as fully as you possibly can. You have dreams, make it happen. Don't feel inadequate. Don't feel, some people suffer from imposter syndrome. A lot of my clients, I've even had it happen. But I've released all of that. I think part of the beauty of aging is that you just start to let go of stuff that is insignificant, that it's really not that important. What is important is that you feel alive. What is important is that you feel that you're doing something that's making a difference, not just for you, but for your family, for your community, for other people. I like to give, I have a friend who teases me because I'm the one that's going to write a check to an organization. I'm the one, but this friend, they're giving people money on the street, homeless people. They're giving money all the time, and I tease them, and I'm like, you're not going to have any more money. And they're like, well, what about you? And I'm like, yeah, that's true too. But I'm not going to stop. Everybody gives in different ways. It's just like I like to support different organizations that I believe in by writing a check or volunteering. I'm big on volunteering as well. I think it's important to give when there's no check or money involved. Because again, the exchange of human energy, the benefits that you get from helping other people, immeasurable. So this incredible career that I've had, that I'm still having, that I was able to still be a mother and a wife and have a family. I had 3 children, Khalif, Saladin, and my daughter is Princess Idea. She's a singer-songwriter, a painter, a jewelry designer, an artist. Her father produced an album during the pandemic on, it's called I Am Idea. So go stream, y'all, go stream on your preferred platform. And I lost my youngest son 2 years ago. Saladin, and I say his name. He popped up on my watch a few minutes ago, and I look down and I see him and I smile. He's with me all the time. But as a parent who's lost a child, I will tell you, this is why I say to you, value your relationships. Cherish the people with you, close to you. And even when they drive you crazy, let them know, you're driving me crazy. My oldest son called me yesterday morning. He was driving me crazy. I was like, I gotta go. It's 8 a.m. You're making me crazy. At 8 a.m., goodbye. And he's almost 50, my oldest child. Okay, it happens. It happens. It's happening to me. But this is a glorious experience, y'all. And whatever your path is and what you choose to do it with verve. Do it with excellence. And when you fall down, because you will fall down sometimes, just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back in the race. That's life. Right? That's life. So with that said, at this point, I want to stop running my mouth and I want to engage with you and hear comments, questions, whatever you have to say in, oh my goodness, I can't believe the time. So please raise your hand, tell me your name, and state your question or comment. I'm here for it.
Well, first, we'd like to thank you very much. Before we get into all this, I'll be running around the microphone. Everybody, a big hand for Dyana Williams.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
So we have a few minutes for a few questions, comments. Y'all don't be shy now. Oh, look at this. We have a question back here. Y'all okay? So quiet.
All right, now look, your public speaking ability is a superpower. How did you develop it? And some people are terrified of it. I mean, the surveys that say people would rather be in the casket than do a eulogy. What was your first experience with it, and how did you develop that skill?
Ooh, thank you for the question. Thank you. I was the little girl on the block that organized our games. This is God. God put this in me. And then, like I said, my parents cultivated. I love English. I love language. I studied the dictionary when I was a little girl, only child. I would just read the definitions. And so I always loved words. And I think that's part of it. And then, like I said, we all come here with different gifts. Everybody got different superpowers. Everybody. Like, I'm not the best cook, you know what I mean? And my ex-husband used to say to me, when I told him I was gonna enroll at Temple, he was like, girl, if you go any place, you need to go to a cooking school. I was so offended, okay? But he was at my graduation the day I got my degree. Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of those things that helped me develop into, I'm comfortable here. I'm comfortable with you. I've looked at all of your faces. I've seen you all. I mean, literally, I've looked at everybody, and that is important. So I'm not just talking to a group of people. I'm talking to you individually in the format of the collective. So yeah, it's just one of my superpowers. Thank you, God. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So when it comes to working in the radio, how exactly, because you were an on-air personality, how exactly did you kind of establish that personality that you had so young? And so, because being in front of that mic, or being behind that mic, is it's something that's kind of nerve-wracking sometimes.
See, for me, not nerve-wracking. Again, the microphone, when I walked into the radio station at WCCR AM, it was a carrier current station that could be heard in the immediate Harlem vicinity. It was easy. It was like, and then also the mentality, there's a certain mentality that you have to adopt. And my mentality, because I'm not saying when I cracked the mic open for the first time, I wasn't nervous. I was, but I got over that very quickly. I thought about close friends, that I was talking to family and friends. I was aware that I was talking to hundreds of thousands of people at any given moment. And at this point in my career, I've spoken to millions of people, but I don't think like that. I think keep it warm, keep it friendly, keep it loving. And that's been my approach to being on the radio. So it's easy. So there's a certain mind talking, there's a certain talking to yourself that you have to do when you are in those kinds of positions. So to this day, even now, when I do radio, television, I walk away, I isolate myself, I think about the focus of the exchange, and I pray. I'm a praying woman, so prayer helps me get my little energy, my mentality, my spirit up, and it makes it easier. So whatever works for you, what I say to my celebrity clients, I do goal planning with my celebrity clients. When I was telling you I did that when I was 18, I call it sky's the limit. I also ask my clients to create a mantra, an expression, and a statement of affirmation that lifts you, that enables you. And if you don't have one, may I encourage you to get one for those days that you feel doubtful, insecure, unsure. Talk to yourself. Give yourself a real talking to. You moved. Give yourself a real talking to encourage and motivate yourself. We all need it. Trust me, before I hit this stage, before they mic'd me up, I went in the bathroom, I prayed, and then I prayed again with President Bryant. I was like, pray with me, encourage this, bring the spirit and the energy of light and goodness and strength and capacity, ability. I want y'all to leave here, you may never see me again, and then again we may see one another again. But what I want you to leave with is encouragement. I want you to leave with light. I want you to leave with the belief that you can do and be anything you want to be and do. That's what I want to impart to you today. I also want y'all to have an attitude of gratitude for all of this. I wish I had this when I was at City College. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have facilities, we didn't have what you have. You have something grand, you have something great that ain't everywhere. If you think it's everywhere, stand to be corrected, because it isn't. So I want you to leave with gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, and the gift, recognizing that what we have at this moment, let me tell you, January 22nd was my daughter's birthday. My daughter was in surgery not too long ago. That's why I said I want y'all to know I ain't always rosy cheery. I'm crying and despondent, and my daughter had she had 100% blockage in her right artery, and was told by multiple cardiologists that she's lucky, blessed, that she didn't have a stroke or a heart attack and just fall out die. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I didn't lose another child, and I told her that, because the pain of losing a loved one, and especially when you're a parent and you lose a child, wow. But when I tell you my son's death, what it did, it fortified my conviction to live a more full and purpose-filled life. That's what my son's death did for me. Everybody grieves different, but I decided to, instead of grieve down and sorrowful, and I'm not telling you I didn't cry or do any of that, because I did that too, but I'm grieving up. I was honored to be his mother. I am honored to still be his mother and to be doing what he's not doing right now, which is living this life. Now, I don't know what's beyond this, if there's something beyond this, but while I'm in this, I'm living it fully. Good and bad, trauma and drama, I'm living it all. And I want you to recognize the good and the bad, put the bad in its proper place, and just go for the good, go for the gusto, go for the joie de vivre. I saw okay, hi.
All right. Hi, my name's Tucker. I just wanted to ask really quickly, doors that feel as though they shut on you. You tried to go for an opportunity, you got shut down. Are those doors shut, or is there any way to get back in?
Good question. Great question. I heard from a young lady, emailed me. Her name is Autumn. Autumn wrote me yesterday on LinkedIn. And she said, I graduated, I have my MBA, I've applied, I keep getting no's, nobody's responding to me, I'm getting, just, what do I do here? I've spent all this money on this education. And I wrote her back. And I said, Autumn, send me your number so we can talk. I'm a conversationalist, I like to talk. And I called her yesterday, and she said, first of all, you're the first and only person that has responded to any of my outreach. Thank you for restoring my faith, because I was starting to lose it. I was like, ooh, girl. And this morning, before I came here, I woke up and I started sending her jobs. She wants to work in the music business. And I started sending her everything from the Recording Academy to ASCAP to BMI to CSAC to Music Business Journal in Europe. I said, are you willing to move? She said, yes. I said, look overseas as well. Don't limit yourself to. And I said, and the good news, Miss Autumn, is that somebody, Tucker, is going to say yes to her. She is educated, she's qualified, she's smart. She seems very lovely. I've never met her, just from talking to her on the phone. And so the thing about a no, here's about no's. I can take a no. I don't like a no, but I'm the kind of person that's real driven to get my yes. And that's why I told Sister Girl yesterday, Miss Autumn, I said, girl, don't despair. I know you're living in your family's home. I know you got all this student debt. I know you're anxious to get into your chosen profession. Do not give up. And then I saw an email from Music Cares. Music Cares is the entity of the Recording Academy, the Grammy organization, that if you are a music industry professional and you can demonstrate 5 years of professional experience and you are dead broke, don't have money to pay your car note, insurance, you don't have food, you don't have money, Music Cares will step in and help you. A lot of people don't know about Music Cares, but I'm here to tell you it's a very important entity. And there are other entities similar to a Music Cares. So I got an email that said Music Cares was doing a program for volunteerism. And I forwarded this email to Autumn last night. And then she wrote me back and she said, I am volunteering in Central Park tomorrow with Music Cares for cleanup. And I was like, good for you, Miss Autumn. Because guess what, Tucker? At that event, she very well may meet somebody who recognizes her, who sees her, and gives her the opportunity that she has been seeking. Because it's a relationship situation, Tucker. Believe me when I tell you, it's about relationships. And if a person sees your shine and they feel your passion, the possibility and probability is strong that she's going to get her ideal gig. And I, like I said, I don't know this sister, but I felt her angst about coming out of school and not being able to get a job. That wasn't my story, but it's some people's story. So you encounter no's, recognize it for what it is, and maybe even say to yourself, that wasn't meant for me. That situation was not mine. It's not for me. It must be something else. But you gotta keep going. You cannot surrender to despair. Because if you live there, how's that gonna serve you? It's not. So it's okay to go down and be sad and sorrowful about perhaps what you perceive as a missed opportunity or the job that you feel you're entitled to and you're the right person. Maybe it wasn't for you. You keep pushing. You keep pushing. And when I said create your network, here, are you a student here now, Tucker? What's your major?
SRT.
What's SOT?
Sound and recording technology.
David, so you're one of David's. Okay, this is a seasoned man. Not only does he have relationships here in this region, he is known internationally. So you work your relationships. You work your relationships. What's the sister's name that we met with the mayor that you were telling me about this morning, Marcus?
Shania Bennett.
Shania Bennett. This sister, Shania Bennett, was, Marcus and I went to city council. We were invited to speak on behalf of Frankie Beverly getting a street named in his honor in Philadelphia. And we met her as we were leaving City Hall. And she went on to tell us that she was a volunteer in Mayor Parker's elect at that point campaign. And guess what? She got a whole job now in Mayor Sherelle Parker, the first woman, the 100th mayor, the first woman, the first Black woman mayor of the city of Philadelphia. She is now part of the mayor's team overseeing youth development. She done turned volunteerism into a gig, a career with Mayor Sherelle Parker. So this is why I say, hey, you get no's, try another path. And that's what I was saying to Autumn. Okay, Autumn, so these things have been closed and these opportunities have not availed themselves yet. Go on up there and meet those music hair people. Find out. What else can you do to get in? It's about relationships, people. I promise you. Start developing your relationships in whatever the area, the field of interest that you are interested in. And shine. Don't be afraid to shine. We're all uniquely, just like no two snowflakes are alike. Neither are we. There's only one of you. There's only one of me. I don't know if God wants to make too many of me. Might be too muck and fudge. Okay, but shine. Let people see, let them experience your magic. They will gravitate towards you. Tucker, do you know I have never applied for, except for when I was a teenager, a job. I've had people come and offer me situations. Every job that I mentioned to you. What is that? That's because they saw my shine. They heard my shine. They heard my energy. And they came and they said, I was a producer at VH1, got that job, I went with an artist named Gerald Levert. He was doing an interview, met the producer, just one conversation. She came back and said, we're doing a new TV show called The Soul of VH1. Would you be interested in being a consulting producer? What? And then do all the interviews with all the artists. Vanessa Williams was the host. I was like, absolutely. Relationships. So don't forget the value of cultivating and nurturing your relationships and taking those no's and turning them into a yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. What you just said.
What's your name?
Tony Davis.
Hi, Tony Davis.
Retired.
Retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we say retired.
Oh, okay.
At any rate, what you just said exemplifies a lot of what I do trainings on all over the country and how to create mentors. So most people, when they respond to this, say it's not about what you know, but what.
Who you know?
No, but it's really who knows you. And you just exemplified that to the max. I just wanted to compliment you.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. And I think it's a combination of what you know and who you know. You gotta have the basics. And then if you know people and they know that you have the skill set and the knowledge and the capacity and the ability, then it makes it a win-win situation. But thank you for your question. Yes, ma'am. How are you? What's your name?
My name's Delea.
Delea?
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Deanna.
Nice to meet you too. I just wrote down, as a woman working in the radio and entertainment industry, is there any...
Hold on.
As a woman working in the radio and entertainment industry, is there any changes you would like to see being made when it comes to being a woman and everything?
That's another masterclass.
Yeah, right, exactly. Did everyone hear the question? About the challenges of being a woman. Remember I mentioned when I first got into broadcasting, I heard 1, 2 women in New York, and imagine, New York, #1 market for media, television and radio. I heard a woman named Vi Higginson, and she changed me tremendously. I modeled myself and patterned myself on her style of execution on the radio. It is still challenging for women in this industry. When I first came into radio, you would never have 2 women on the radio back to back. That's not the case now. You can oftentimes hear, I know WDAS, you got Patty Jackson, an American broadcaster we should all know. She has been in the same time slot at 105.3 WDAS, my former radio home throughout the 80s. And same time slot, multiple owners, she's still there. It is challenging for women in the music industry and in broadcasting, although things have changed. We now have Oprah, and we had Barbara Walters, and we had Katie Couric, and a whole slew of women. One of my favorite, Gayle King, who does CBS Mornings. Women, we just have to, there's a fine line for us that we have to walk. Because it is any industry that you can think of, even the beauty industry is male dominated, male owned and controlled for the most part. So women, there's an extra layer that we have to adopt and engage and be aware of. And then women of color, brown, black women, it's an even bigger hurdle for us. But my thing is persevere. The nose, the question that Tucker asked about the nose. Girl, just be that person who's like, you can tell me no a zillion times. Watch me turn your nose into my yes. So mentors, I haven't mentioned mentors much, but get yourself a mentor, he or she, they, who will assist you in the process of navigating the currents of your chosen career path. It's always helpful to have somebody who's going to be able to say, no, don't do that, or yes, do this, or become a member of Grammy U, or whatever. Most organizations that you are interested in have student divisions so that you have an opportunity to netweave with professionals. So I hope I over-answered your question. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. First of all, I just wanted to say I found your whole radio story inspiring as somebody that is involved in Montco Radio here, and I find a passion in it. I have a question regarding imposter syndrome. What is your biggest piece of advice to somebody that's biggest critic is themselves?
I addressed it slightly. I had a woman, a client, she was CEO of a company. When I say universally gorgeous, I think everybody would agree this woman was very beautiful. PhD, CEO, wealthy, beautiful. And she calls me one day and she says, I have imposter syndrome. And my heart just sunk for her because I'm like, the outside looking in, it's like she's got it all made. And she's like, no, imposter syndrome. So mantra, affirmations, reading stories of other people. That's another thing I didn't mention. As a young child, as a teenager, I read a lot of biographies and autobiographies of successful, accomplished people. My favorite people are Renaissance people. So my whole young life, I aspired to meet Gordon Parks because I saw him as the epitome of a Renaissance individual. Gordon Parks, for those of you who don't know, photographer, first black photographer for Life magazine. He directed Shaft. He was a composer, just an incredible musician and a dear friend who I eventually met. So how do you overcome that? You have to, remember I said talk to yourself? You got to do some serious talking to yourself if you're feeling insecure, unsure, and doubtful. You got to remind yourself that you're intelligent, you're smart, you're energetic, you're whatever your other skills that you have or the things that you know you possess in your arsenal. You have to keep reminding. What was that show? Being Mary Jane. The character would take little Post-it notes and put it in her bathroom and in her bedroom, constantly affirming that she was valued, that she was good, that she was that girl. So we have to stop.
We have time for one. Is this on? We have time for one last question.
Hello, my name is Jonah.
Hi.
Hi. So as an artist who struggles with imposter syndrome as well, but more I struggle with is stagnation. I find myself trying to change up my style constantly because I feel I'm unsatisfied with what I'm doing in terms of sound. But oftentimes that I find that I'm kind of like bouncing back to what I was doing beforehand. So it feels like I'm kind of trapped inside a box almost, but I know that I have to get out of it, but I just can't. And things get really, it gets really hard to find joy in doing what I want to do sometimes. What would be your advice for that?
Wow. Well, first thing I would say is eliminate can't. There's certain words that I don't like, and when I work with my clients, I don't let them use it. Don't, can't, won't. Those words weaken you. They rob you from your ability, and they take away from your esteem. So it sounds like you need to do esteem building. Like I said, listen to people who are successful doing what you want to do, study their path, listen to expand. What is your instrument?
I produce. I mainly produce music, but I play guitar and bass.
Okay, so guitar and bass. Listen to your favorite producers, people that are at the level that you wish to aspire to get to. Study their story. And just keep those mantras of affirmation to lift yourself up. Instead of saying, I can't, I don't, I won't, just you sound like you're in like a bit of a creative rut. Start listening to people who listen to John Coltrane, listen to his solos, listen to Eric Dolphy, listen to people in whatever the genre that you prefer. Listen to those masters and the people who have accomplished where you wish to go. Let them serve as inspirations for you. Sounds like you need inspiration. So that's what I would just off the cuff encourage you to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dyana Williams. Thank you very much. We really appreciate her being here. And that's the end of our masterclass. We're going to have several more. Don't forget Mustang Lounge Monday right here. We have several bands. It's an open mic. If you want to sign up for it. We'll be filming it. So all those things are available.
Thank you, David Ivory. Thank you, everybody. Blessings to you and your families. I want to be, can I be a Mustang? Yeah. Yes, I am. Okay, it's official. I am a Mustang. Thank y'all. Blessings. Thank you so much.